Hey, everybody. Just want to thank you for tuning in today to the first episode of Blood Beyond the Razor Wire TV, where we take you inside some of the most dangerous, violent prisons in the United States through people's stories. But remember, our mission is to save kids from life imprisonment and premature death. If you haven't hit the subscribe button, go ahead and click on that subscribe button now. I promise to keep you interested and never disappoint you. My first guest is a man that I spent some time with in Big Sandy and USP Lee. I talked about him in my book. His name is Dog Pound. Dog, introduce yourself and tell the people who you are.
First off, I'd like to say thanks for having me. I appreciate it very much. I respect what you're doing. I admire it, and I'm proud of you. My name's Gilbert Stites. I'm from New Jersey. They call me Dog Pound. I met Chad back in 2008, 2009. Big Sandy, USP, Big Sandy. Then we spent some time together in Lee County, Virginia as well, another USP, United States Penitentiary. And he asked me to share my story with you folks today, and I'm glad to do it. I appreciate it very much.
Where you from, Dog?
I'm from South Jersey, 20, 30 minutes from Atlantic City, 20, 30 minutes from Philadelphia. Small little rural town here.
And you ended up going to federal prison, right? Tell the people what your charges were and how much time you had.
Yeah, I was charged with 922G, I believe it is, felony possession of a firearm. I was selling counterfeit money, dipping, dabbling in the life. And when they raided my house, they found 4 guns there. So ultimately, I was charged with the felony possession of firearms and was sentenced to 10 years.
And what was your first prison?
My first prison was USP, Big Sandy.
Hold on.
First one.
What's USP? Is that United States Penitentiary?
Yes, it is.
Maximum security prison?
Maximum security, yep.
And, we hear a lot of stories about, federal prison being camp fed, that it's, not even close to as bad as state prisons. It's nice. And, people are out playing tennis. They're eating good food. What do you got to say about that?
Well, I mean, I didn't get to witness it. I didn't get to see that aspect of the federal prison system at all. Of course, we were in the maximum security prisons, which is a total different from the lows and the mediums and, the nonviolent offenders, I would guess.
So how was Big Sandy? Was it a dangerous place? Was it violent? What was going on there?
Yeah, Big Sandy, as soon as you walk through the doors, it smells like death in there. You just feel it,
Yeah.
So.
And they sent you to a prison like that with a 10-year sentence?
A 10-year sentence. And in all honesty, I think it was because I didn't agree to cooperate. I think that they, wanted to teach me a lesson, so to speak.
So they wanted to teach you a lesson by sending you to what? One of the most dangerous, if not the most dangerous federal prison in the system?
Yeah, at that time, I think it was ranked number 3 of the worst prisons in the country. There's only 18 United States penitentiaries, and that was ranked number 3 amongst them all. So.
Okay. Did you see any violence while you were there?
Yeah, every day. The prisoners ran that place. The officers didn't have really much control over what was going on in there. It was like the wild, wild west of the prison system.
So you're telling the viewers that were the guards scared of people? Is that what you're saying?
Without a doubt. They wasn't coming in there doing anything unless there was 4 or 5 of them together with taser guns and stuff. It's a dangerous place, man.
And I know you were there at one time. There was a guy that was he was a homosexual, right? And something happened with him in education. Tell the people what happened with him in the education department. He killed someone or something?
Yeah, I guess they raped him there, trapped him in the education department somewhere, and then tried to rape him. And, he killed the guy. I mean, probably fighting for his life, probably, scared to death or whatever the situation was. That was a reoccurring theme there. People were getting taken advantage of in that way quite often.
Okay. Did you ever see any other incidents or hear about other incidents like that in there?
It was every week somebody was on the verge of death or pretty close to it. I had a few incidents there myself. 2 guys got killed while I was there. I actually seen one with my own eyes. The other one, of course, just heard about within the system there. But yeah, it was a bad place, man. It was dangerous. And I wouldn't imagine the other USPs are much better. I mean, we went to Lee, Virginia after that, another USP, and the violence was sustainable there too. I mean, it was quite a bit,
Yeah, well, let's talk about this. I know you had an incident. You had a cellie that was part of a gang. I believe it was Aryan Resistance Militia or something like that, named
Yeah.
Josh, right? You had an incident with Josh, didn't you?
Yeah, well, Josh and we grew up totally different, obviously. I'm from New Jersey, and I'm a barber, so I'm more well-rounded, I guess. I deal with black people, cut black people's hair in prison and stuff, and that was frowned upon with the other white guys, especially the gang members. So they put me in the cell with Josh, and we shared a room together for a week or so until we had a falling out. Got into a fight there. Him and his buddy tried to jump me. One of them stabbed me in the neck, stabbed me in the back, but they didn't get me. I was still on my feet when they came in there and broke it up.
And you were fighting for your life though, weren't
Fighting
you?
for my life. Yeah, I mean, I'm smiling about it now, but at the time it was probably a near-death experience, I guess you could say. But my adrenaline kept me alive and kept me fighting, and I'm still here to speak about it today.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about some of the white dudes that you encountered in prison, right? Because you said you guys grew up different. He was part of a white supremacist, racist type of gang.
Right.
With the white dudes in there in prison that are involved in that type of stuff, do they frown upon guys like you that cut black people's hair and you grew up around some black dudes, all that type of stuff. So do they frown upon you?
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I was kind of almost ostracized in a way, like not really welcome into their inner circle, which I didn't want to be anyway. I went in there by myself and planned on continuing to do things by myself, which I did to the end. I mean, I think I had one real true friend out of the whole time I was in federal prison, and that's you.
I appreciate
Honestly.
that.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question about Josh, because I knew Josh, right? He was kind of arrogant, thought he was a tough guy, all that type of stuff. And I remember looking at that dude, and I knew he didn't have a whole lot of time either. And I was like, man, this dude's gonna get out and do something stupid, right? Why don't you tell the people what happened with
Yeah.
Josh when he got out of prison? Because I know you know.
Yeah, of course I didn't know him prior to her incarceration. I only met him in there. And when I got out, I looked him up on Facebook just to see what's up with him, what was going on with him or whatever. And it appears that somebody killed him in California. Guess he got out, went out there for whatever reasons, and he didn't last long out here on the streets with that attitude.
Yeah, someone killed him, huh?
Yeah, I can't imagine him, by looking at his Facebook and stuff like that, it didn't appear to me that he grew up that way either. I think that was something that he took that role on in prison, maybe for whatever reasons.
So you think he was faking a little bit in prison, faking to make
Without
it?
a doubt, without a doubt, but
I mean, we both seen people
he's
do
not here
that,
to
right?
defend himself. So
We've seen people in prison that are faking it to make it, right? And I talk about that in my book, where I know some guys go in there and they're not tough guys, right? And some of them make it in Big Sandy. Not many, but some of them make it, right?
Yep.
And I see these guys and I'm like, man, this guy's pretending right here. And I know we were both with a guy named Swift. And it turned out Swift was a pretty violent dude. He ran with the Aryan Brotherhood of Texas. But it turned out that he had told on some people in his case, right? And some paperwork went around. But this dude was like 6'1", 6'2", pretty tough dude. And it turned out he wasn't the dude that he said he was, So I don't know. I mean, I've seen a lot of dudes in there faking it to make it. And do you agree with that?
Yeah, 1,000%. I met Swift. I was in the unit with him for a while. They didn't like me, man. They didn't like how I moved. They didn't like what I did. But, I wasn't about to change the way I am for anybody. I just can't. So.
No doubt. That's understandable. Hey, men respect men. No matter who you are or what you do, if you're a man, men are supposed to respect men.
Right.
And, there's a big misconception, at least I believe there's a big misconception about federal prison. And, I was on a show the other day, the After Prison show, and the guy had told me, he had asked me, he said he heard that, all the people in the feds are snitches. Is that true?
Jeez. I mean, maybe nowadays it's more common for people to snitch and do that, but nah, most definitely not. In the USP environment, if you snitched on anybody, your fellow inmates are going to find out, and more than likely, probably try to kill you. To be honest with you, And that's another thing too. I was unfamiliar with the federal prison system and how it worked. During my sentencing stages and preliminary hearings and all that kind of stuff, nobody ever explained to me none of that stuff. Now, I'm glad that I didn't agree to cooperate. I'm glad I didn't tell on anybody. But what I noticed was a lot of those guys that did and was getting time off their sentences for their cooperation or whatever, once they hit the USP, those guys, they find out about it and they take it very seriously. So, nah, I don't agree with that most people are snitches in federal prison, not at all.
Okay. Well, I agree with the same thing. Like I said the other day, I said most of the guys that are in a maximum security federal prison, 90% of them dudes are the dudes that people told on. You
Right.
do you agree with that?
1000%. I'm one of them. I'm a victim of that.
So let me ask you this, right? Because I tell people that with blood on the razor wire, we all have a story to tell. And unfortunately, in the society that we live in nowadays, people glamorize the villain. They glamorize John Gotti and, Bonnie and Clyde, mobsters. These are the people that, a lot of young kids look up to, right?
Hmm.
So I say we got a story to tell. So kids are interested in our stories, right? This isn't Scared Straight. This isn't 60 Days In. I think that
Right.
stuff's all nonsense. But I think that if we have a story to tell, that it's going to grab the kids in the beginning because they want to hear about prison, right? But I
Yep.
also want them to know the other aspects. So if you were talking to your younger self now about crime and the path that you took, what would you tell yourself?
I definitely would tell myself not to do it. Just like all the older folks in my life told me or tried to tell me, she's, I would definitely tell myself to not follow that path for sure. I always thought that I was a hustler, and I wanted to be in the streets, and I thought it was exciting, and I thought that was the life that I wanted to live. But honestly, now I've been out almost 8 years now, out of federal prison for almost 8 years now, and I even had a speeding ticket. My life is totally, completely 180 changed around, and I don't attribute that to the time that I spent in prison at all. I feel like it was something within me that changed eventually. That I didn't want to live that life anymore. But if I could tell myself something now, well, back then, man, I don't even know, Chad. Be honest with you, it's so deep. There's so much to it. It's a
Well, let me
sad
stop you.
situation, man. It's
Let me stop you. Let me ask you this. Do you think being in prison and the violence that you've seen and the anger that you've seen, that it helped click something upstairs in your head where you said, man, I don't want to live like this. I don't want to live this life? And
yeah,
what I mean by I don't want to live this life, I mean that prison life,
that
the
prison
life
life, right?
where you're not able to talk to your family, you're not able to eat the food that you want to eat, that you're seeing people get murdered in prison, you're seeing people get stabbed. I mean, that's what I'm talking about. Did that make you appreciate your freedom?
Oh, of course, 1000% it did. No doubt about it. I mean, by witnessing all that stuff, definitely, it definitely did. No doubt about it. 1000%. I still have dreams about prison stuff that we've seen in there and things that went on and whatnot. I mean, not really nightmares because I didn't experience it myself. That part of things, but just to witness it, just to see it, man. Sad situation, really.
Definitely
To
understandable, man.
Yeah,
When you see people get killed, I think it affects you. I've seen people killed in federal prison. When we were in Lee
yeah,
County, I seen a dude killed in our unit, over pretending that he had a knife. He got drunk and, he acted like he had a knife. And the other guy said, hey, you know what? I really do have a knife.
do have one.
And he stabbed the dude, and dude was like, man, please don't kill me. And,
Yeah.
and dude said, man, it's too late for that. And, that's something that affected me, man, to this day, where the guy said, hey, it's too late for that. And he kept stabbing him. And we knew that he was dead because what color was the blood? It was black. I said, man, the
Shit.
blood's black. This guy's gone. He's dead. Over a card game and getting drunk. He's dead. And I want kids to realize that, that when you walk into that prison system, these things can happen. But I want to take you on a little bit of a different path, a different journey. You've been out 8 years now, right?
Yep.
Tell the people what you did when you got out of prison and what you're doing now.
Well, now I'm a business owner. I started a sign company. So I make signs, vehicle graphics, stuff like that. I took a liking to it as a younger fellow. I was working before I went to prison at a couple sign companies, and I enjoyed it, kind of somewhat of a passion for it. So when I got out, I went to beauty school, got my barber license, all that stuff, and something I can fall back on in the future. But right now, I'm a successful business owner. I have a sign company. I'm doing really well. I've never lived better, making more money now than I ever did doing the illegal stuff, selling
Hold
drugs,
on. I
or
got to stop you, man. Say that again. You're making what?
more money now than I ever did with the illegal stuff, honestly.
So,
And I don't have to look over my shoulder. I don't have to, I can go to sleep at night. I feel good about what I'm doing.
well, that's your message. That's the message right there for the kids, right? That they can do it. It's hard to take a 16-year-old or a 14-year-old or a 15-year-old and say, hey, look, stop selling drugs because you're going to go to prison. They're not trying to hear that, man. They're not trying to hear that. They're not trying to be broke. right now for when they're 14, 15, 16 years old. They're trying to make a way. But what I think they need to do is learn that, hey, look, it's so much better because you know what? Most drug dealers, almost every drug dealer I ever met, they never retire from drug dealing.
Yeah.
Most of us go to prison, end up in prison, serving a bunch of time. You're in there begging people for money for commissary. You're in there hungry. And you know what? It was all for nothing. When you can avoid all that, right, and get your life together.
Yep, no doubt. You know what? One thing that I think about a lot is a lot of these younger fellas, even people our age, used to do it. I'd imagine I've seen it a lot. People say they were a product of their environment, that they had to do those things that they were doing to survive in the environment that they were in. And I get it in a way, you know, because in federal prison, you know, I'm not a killer by nature. I'm a good guy. At least I think I am, you know what I mean? I try to be fair with people, respectful, whatnot. But I had to turn on this killer instinct, just dig it from deep inside to survive in there every day. That's the way it was. But when these youngsters say, you know, they're a product of their environment, or, you know, they have to sell drugs because that's what the only way to make it in their neighborhood or however that works, you know, I agree with it a little bit, but for the most part, lack of opportunity is not an excuse for your behavior, you know, and the odds were stacked against me when I got out of prison, a convicted felon, intense parole, you know, all those things. But I made it. I did it. You know what I mean? It was a struggle. I was working 40 hours a week and taking a bus 2 hours down to Philadelphia to see the parole officer 3-4 times a week. It was tough, but I knew that where I wanted to go in life and where I didn't want to go back to. So I made a conscious choice to do what I'm doing today.
Well, I definitely appreciate you. And, you know, I appreciate your story. And I'm sure that the viewers will appreciate it. You know, a lot of people are drawn in by the blood, the violence, and we live that life. You know, and I say that about my book, you know, Blood on the Razor Wire. I read so many books in prison, but these dudes couldn't tell the story that I could tell. They can't tell the story that you can tell because they've never been in the places that we've been. It's cool, put on a wife beater, tattoos, get all pumped up, scream, yell. But man, we've been through some shit. We've been through some serious things. We've seen some things that no man should have to ever see, have to ever endure, right? Why don't you tell the people, man,
Jeez.
What's one of the worst things you've seen in federal prison?
Man, I'm not sure, man. I've seen so much stuff in there. It's ridiculous. You know, I was in the day room. You know, it was 120 of us in the big day room, and I'm at a table with a couple other fellas, and we're playing cards, and felt this weird vibe, you know, like something was going on, but I didn't know what. It wasn't right there in our vicinity where we could see it, but it was going on. And come to find out, right behind us, in the room right behind us, a guy was being gang raped in there. He just showed up at the prison. They found out he was a snitch. The guys from his neighborhood, I guess they thought that was the appropriate punishment for him, or however that went. And man, that was a sickening feeling, knowing that's going on 10 feet away from me behind this door, hearing this guy in there screaming and crying and begging to stop. That's probably one of the worst things I've seen. I mean, I've seen 2 guys get killed, but that was horrific, man.
Would you say that's even worse than actually seeing someone get killed? Because then people have to live with that and endure that.
Yeah, in my opinion, it is.
And you know what? I agree. And you know, I'm going to ask you one more question because we were together at one time. We were in USP Lee, right? It had potential to be dangerous. We've seen people murdered there. And I tell people this all the time because people ask me, what was the most scariest moment you ever had in federal prison? And if you remember correctly, there was an incident, right? And me and you ended up going over and politicking it out. It could have been a race riot, right? Why don't you tell the people about that if you remember?
Jeez, yeah, that was serious, wasn't it? Man, we had 500-600 black guys on one side of the prison yard and 200 or 300 of us white guys on the other side of the prison yard, and there was getting ready to be a race war out there, man. It was serious. That was scary too. That was probably one of the scariest moments too, because we were trapped on that yard, man. We were fenced in. The gun towers up there, they were cocked and loaded, ready to roll. And if we didn't go out there and talk on, man, that could have ended up bad, real bad.
And that was over.
The white guy came there. So I didn't mean to cut you off, but if I'm not mistaken, I think it was the guy came there from another prison, and he had a tattoo of a black guy hanging on his back. And, you know, the black folks on the yard, they seen that and they didn't like it, and they wanted them to remove the tattoo or get rid of the guy. Yeah, I was serious business, man. And it didn't really have anything to do with us, because we're not like that. We were dealing with, black folks from our neighborhood every day and cutting their hair and hustling with them and playing poker with them. But we almost got trapped in it.
Yeah, that could have been a bad situation, man.
Yes.
So look, I'm going to give you an opportunity to say what you want to say to the kids, to the folks watching, man. And I want to thank you for coming. And I want to ask everybody, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I promise you there's bigger and better things coming with this channel. This is our first interview. And, I just want to thank you for coming on and thank you for sharing your story, dog. Tell the people what you got to say.
Yeah, thank you too. I appreciate it very much. It's an honor to be your first guest. I know that you're going to have some big and powerful names on here, probably some famous people too in due time, no doubt about it. So it's an honor to be your first guest. And I just want to say thank you, man. Don't wait till it's too late. Don't wait till they slam that door behind you and give you 20 years for something that, a choice that you could have made different. Can't take back time, man. Time is the one thing that we can't get it back. So don't lose it spending it in a prison cell over some poor choices is a bad decision. I did it. I regret it every day. But I'm here. I'm alive. I'm able to tell the story, and hopefully somebody out there is listening and choose not to take that path, man. That's all I can hope for, right?
Yeah, that's it. Hey, again, man, thank you. We're bringing it real. We're bringing it raw. We're not holding no punches. We're keeping it real. We want people to know what it's like. I want to take people into this prison system. Come on this journey with us. Let us show you what it's really like. And not just the prison system, but we're going to take you into the criminal justice system on Blood on the Razor Wire. Again, hit that subscribe button, and we appreciate you.
Thank you.